Hey, good morning. Hi, how's everybody doing? So good to see everyone. You folks always show up even before the stream already saying hi. I really appreciate that. Hey. Hi, Ella. Hi, Art. Oh, Art. Hi. Rita, Pamela. Hi, Deborah. How are you guys doing? Yeah, really great to just kind of tune in sometimes and do some painting live. So I look forward to doing just that today. No kind of structured teaching whatsoever, but just hanging out and paint something together. So if you would like to paint along, and I will start from the very drawing process as well, and draw along, paint along, however you like. By all means, follow along. Hi, Ken. Yeah, so if you just want to chill and watch the meditative process of making art, you can also do that. So yeah, I'll be chatting and checking the chat as well as I go. So this is also any questions are welcome, whether it's related to this piece or maybe related to other stuff. Ask me anything really. Happy to answer. Yeah, the winter holiday is coming up fast, so I feel like the fall just kind of disappeared. So you know what? Like just squeeze yet another showpiece painting in, like while streaming. It sounds really good because my creative hours are like decreasing with the holiday season ramping up. So yeah, without further ado, hi Kathy, how are you? Oh, thank you, Pamela. Hi Christine. Awesome. So yeah, without further ado, let's go take a look at what we're painting today. So, so this is the photo. I think I also shared in the Patreon post, but feel free to download it if you are interested in joining along, or you can just watch me in the process as well. But this is a photo. It's a street scene from a town just north of us, about an hour drive. It's a beautiful historic town with beautiful industrial buildings, a lot of gorgeous Victorian mansions on the bluff. Yeah, I was just having a little, email exchange with David Roselle. I think his class painting is from there, and he has a lot of photo there, and he loved that place. So in my recent email news, I don't know if you guys seen it. It's called At the Shipyard. It's actually all based on that city. That place is an expensive boat repair yard. It's beautiful. Anyway, so I don't want to talk too much and not do things. Let's just do things as we talk as well. How about that? So we're going to then turn this beautiful photo into a drawing scene. So, this is also, by all means, like ask me anything about cityscape, city street scene, which sometimes is a bit daunting to folks. But to me, you really just want to kind of focus on the overall like ideas, really. What is the composition? What's the idea? I think in this case, I think it's really the juxtaposition of this building at the front. These like beautiful colorful umbrellas at the front. In contrast with this, this long street that going down this way. So basically, kind of feel good. Like I like that this building is cropping the focal point, which is probably around this cluster here, kind of halfway, so that it like stops your view right there. Sometimes doing that, it will make your focal point more obvious. So I'm thinking, for this, you see, I kind of make some notes there. So I'm thinking, by the way, this is how I annotate a lot of the Patreon members' image anyway. I really like this building's structure, right? I'm thinking maybe we don't need this tree here. We'll use this building as the frame, basically, to enter the scene. And this clusters here will be our focal point. The bikers are great, but I think may helpful to space out, you know, the bikers, like maybe one over here, you know, one like trailing behind, maybe another one over there. I'm afraid we have to eliminate this lovely lady here crossing, because I don't want to leave too much foreground, you know. So then maybe we can crop things out this way. So it's just the umbrellas at the foreground. And, you know, I'm debating whether we want to keep this yellow building sticking out behind a tree here. I feel like if we do that, then we're obligated to paint this tree as well, because it will be really weird to kind of crop, like just end there without just getting cropped off. So maybe we just crop right there, actually, nearly where this red yellow building ends. So we'll crop our painting there. Yeah, and then also leave less sky at the top. Should crop in this way. So yeah, I think that will leave us a really interesting kind of like, this is like 1/3, you know, compositionally with the building. This is a historic building too, so I want to show like some highlights, some beautiful, like these are like Art Deco style, some sort of like embossing on the building. So it would be cool to have some of those architecture details as well. And here in the city center, it's blocked off by this lamp, but we actually have a totem here at the city center. So that's something actually I do want to highlight. So we'll be replacing this lamp with the totem, basically. So yeah, that is the plan with our painting process. So with that said, let's go back to the drawing surface and we will continue on from there. So yeah, I'm having the image also showing up on my phone so I can look at both directions. So yeah, let's just do this Jefferson Museum building, something like here, maybe a little bit taller. Got a little curve. So again, I have cropped roughly the kind of ratios of our, you know, object roughly here. The street level, I think probably be very close to the front and just kind of curve this way. So then this main street surface will probably like that. I hope you guys can see because it can be faint sometimes. And when I draw, I try, because I'm gonna color it later, I try not to draw too dark for a kind of showpiece like this, because then the pencil mark sometimes showing through can be a little bit distracting. All right, so we're gonna look at how we're gonna incorporate these, how far these buildings go. I think they probably will need to go something like here. And we'll put the totem, well wait, there is another, okay, maybe not quite yet, there is another tree row here. Yeah, there will be another tree row here just hugging the building. So that is going to kind of also put our focal point a little bit further to the right. So we have a totem still around here. And maybe our building just needs to, yeah, our building will probably go like this direction. Probably roughly stop here, continuing on like the yellow building. But it will have some more trees. These are teardrop shaped trees, maple trees. This city also have beautiful fall color because of all of the maples. But I'm not gonna do that for this painting because the reason of that is you notice there are already some, yeah, Rita, you're saying a little darker. Yes, I'll try my best. So yeah, so the tree will be like this. Here will be, you know, just doing some kind of teardrop shapes to round the corners for the building. So I was saying the reason why I don't want this fall color to go so bright is because the buildings are like the yellow color already, yellow and red, and the umbrellas are like red. So they're already really vibrant, so that's why we don't want that. It will be too loud without a focus. Okay, so yeah, I think this as a baseline is a good structure. We're gonna stick with that. So now the cityscape, again, like the goal is establishing this and then reduce all other distractions as you go. So that's how you end up with like a more like controllable or manageable cityscape, but also not too busy. They tend to get busy for sure. So we're thinking the umbrellas I definitely like, although there are 2 umbrellas. I always like to keep umbrellas like at least 3. This way it's just feels more like a group. 2 doesn't feel so much like a group. So I'm going to kind of stack them a little bit. Maybe this one we will get, maybe this one will get a little bit really behind the second one. So then there are some picnic tables in the front. Just kind of depict a few tables without spelling them out. So what you're drawing is you're drawing some skewed picnic tables, like tiles that's facing you. Some big tiles for the table, some small tiles for the bench. I'm afraid I need to move this third one to be a little bit bigger. Okay. So yeah, I'll have some tiles. So when we're painting it, this whole area will be more like abstract shapes, whatnot. You know what would be cool is we actually do add some figures in there later. Okay, we'll evaluate figure later because figures are accent, our focal point that you can put across the scene. So not gonna do that yet. I will evaluate that as a whole. Okay, that area feels good already, done. And we're going to move on to this main historic building. So it's just gonna be a flat one, but we're gonna try to carve out some architecture details. It's first off, it's a 2-story building, so we're going to divide the building halfway here. And each floor has a almost like a ribbon, kind of with decorative elements. So on the top, it will have these embossed in a sunburst looking. So again, you don't have to do all of them. You just kind of suggest a bit. Maybe some are more defined than others. It's just like rotating. I may not even be accurate. They may have like several designs, but you know, just kind of stick to kind of the suggestive language. What do you have interpreted from it? Okay, so then this part is, yeah, this is just like a banner basically. I don't know if we want to keep that sign. There is a sign on the building, Jefferson Museum. So yeah, I think that would be it. Now the hard part is also this building vertically has some pillars as well. This narrow building, narrow and long windows, so that's something we will want to capture. So we're going vertically. Yeah, just do some pillars. So that should be aligned between the first and the second. Yeah. So we'll probably have, yeah, probably we'll have one last one here. Yeah. So we're going to then have some windows. So the top floor will be rectangle windows, and it has some distance margins between the pillars so they don't stretch all the way there. So again, when we paint this is a good exercise for try not to do the windows too repetitive, even though they are repetitive. So yeah. So there's some archways on the lower tier, which is really cool. And then they don't go all the way. But they will have you have an arch and then the window falls in the arch, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think that kind of captured the architecture. It's yeah, I think the goal is to kind of paint the windows but not so repetitively. Keep some of them light, some of them in the darkness. In terms of the window shape, I think that's usually a good rule of thumb. And again, this building is here to frame the subject, so it's not going to kind of be our main focal point. So I did my drawings relatively dark, but usually I think you can just fizzle away without even drawing it over here. So yeah, another thing is like you can come back around and just erase some areas. That's a trick I like to do sometimes because it just tells you, remind yourself, like don't do the actual solid shape later on. It's gonna look a little bit, you know, not artistic, a little awkward and repetitive and too technical. So yeah, I erased some lines basically. Cool. So then let's then talk about this area. There's a bit of picket fence here. I don't think we need that. It's a bit of a distraction. The umbrella is light enough. The umbrella is the device that helps us enter the scene. And this yellow will echo the yellow building. So cool. Next, let's take a look at this totem area that we want to keep. And now that, you know, I draw it out, I feel like the totem, what do you guys think? Should this totem be the actual focal point or not? Because I feel like the actual focal point, maybe the bikers will be better serving a focal point. So maybe you can have like a biker here and a biker there. Yeah, so maybe we'll draw out the bikers because I do like the bikers in the scene. What they do is they break up these super straight lines and add a bit of rhythm to the scene. So here, if we just go ahead and draw our biker number one. So when drawing figures, of course, just capture the limbs are kind of really important. Yeah. Important for their movement. This one has a little basket. Yeah, maybe the biker's slightly too big. So another thing I really should have done is actually draw the wheels first. That's something that would really help with bikes because that's where you can position them, and then you draw the figure. I really should have done that. So this guy is more like stopping. Got a helmet. see, it's going to kind of break up this. It's going to break up the strong line of the building a little bit. Yeah, seems hard, the bikers, because you not only have to worry about their posture, it also makes sure the biking wheels and stuff actually. Okay. Want the other arm? No. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So that means then I'll just bring down this kind of straight line a little bit lower. That's fine. And so yeah, I do like that as them being the focal point. Maybe I'll add another biker, kind of already on the other side of the street, and actually is riding the bike. So I often kind of get inspired by the stuff in the scene, and then I'll just add from there. So yeah, it's like as if this guy is already turned or something. I think this one is a gal. Let's give her a little bum. Okay, cool. So do we still want the totem? I think possibly, yes. We still want the totem in the center. So again, the totem is several of the kind of native symbols stack up together, but you're not gonna see the details. So I'm just going to kind of draw several stack totem and do this zigzag movement to get them to have a bit of carvings showing up, okay? And the buildings behind them. So the last building may be behind the totem already. This building is a little bit lower, so we're going to crop it right there. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there is a lower building and then gets taller. This is a building at the front that has two of these roofs splitting out. Actually, there is a bit of gap between these two buildings, so I need to think about that. Okay, so then the actual line is going to be parallel. So these details is what makes a cityscape possibly harder, is that you're judging perspectives. And you try to kind of also infer things, and you're removing things, so then you're seeing the shape behind object. Okay, so this is the yellow building. There is a row of windows, I believe, on this side. Okay, so that's the building. And it may have one window here. It's a big warehouse building. It's a museum as well. Oh, is it? Oh, actually, I think this building is a woodboat workshop. Okay, so the first floor is actually a window, big garage window almost, and we'll have some, greeneries at the bottom to soften up that edge a bit. Hi Mark, welcome. Hi S Art Studio, hi. Yeah, just doing a live kind of painting from beginning to end. You guys feel free to ask me questions. I'll be chatting with you as well. So yeah, we're kind of already framing out this painting, close to done. I'm just now connecting a few more lines here. Yeah, I do this type of streaming infrequently, I would say. On the days where actually not releasing YouTube video, like this week is I'm not releasing YouTube video, so I said at least let me be thankful for fans and do something, you know, just get out of your butt and do something for the community, and creating some showpieces you can use. So that's why we're here. So, you know, mentioned bush is actually, you know, you come down with your building and you're like, what do I do when I reach the end of the building? So soften it usually is what you do. That's where all of these different kind of small objects come in place. So use a bush to kind of soften this one already. So here is where like a whole slew of cars happening. You know, I'm not gonna be capturing all that obviously, but the top of the cars is another softening device. So what you can do, you can just do like a few like arched boxes. And only the first one you may want to worry about actually drawing that out. So the first one, I drew that out. And the other one looks like they're just parked this way. So I'm not gonna worry too much about their forms. They're going to just stick out like boxes. Yeah. So yeah, so there will be some other kind of posts, whatnot in the distance. So we're not gonna do that very detailed because the figure is blocking them, and the figure will probably take a better visual prominence if we're just a bit more abstract about the distance. So yeah, I really think we have gotten our drawings. Now we have some electric poles. So those are the things I usually don't draw until the last minute for Cityscape, because electric posts, usually we don't need that many. So again, what I will do is I will probably just get rid of most of them. And I do like the idea that there is this lamp at the corner of our street here. So I'll bring that one in. So a faint line will do. I'll tell you why later. It's basically because if you draw it too pronounced, then when you're painting it, you'll be very afraid to not conform this straight line. And you can't draw, you're like impaired. You're afraid to paint later. So yeah, maybe don't. There's a very attractive trash can here. Just add that mainly because it kind of again softens the look of the, you know, the street. So yeah, I think that is all we need for the drawing. Anything else? Oh, thank you so much. Is that Art Studio? Thank you. So let's, I think one thing we didn't detail out is these like bow art, almost like embosses also on the lower tier. So of course we can't do a super ornate situation for those. So then I'll just roughly draw some lines to convey the movement. So I am debating one thing, whether to include that lantern on the slide. I think it might be smart to do, but also it makes this shape not very clear. So what I will do is probably move the lantern down. So it'll be on this side. Okay? All right. Cool. So then let's get started and talk about paint. I have my have my paint here ready. So what I will be doing, again, I'm gonna off the bat remove the red umbrella. I'll make the accent color yellow in the scene. And we'll look at other mixtures we may need. So let's talk game plan. That's one thing I think some of the folks on the Patreon program you brought up brilliantly. I think it was Pamela, the painting execution plan. That's the hard part because you need to think about what do you do first, second, third in order to get your painting like to be able to have the desired soft edge and hard edge in specific places. And that's the challenge with just Cityscape, is that it has soft elements like the trees. It also has hard elements like the buildings. And as you execute the buildings, you may run into some figures that you may be wondering, how do I do that? So I'll show you today how you can do that. Yeah, so we'll probably do the blue sky, sunny day sky. I like that. I'll probably add a little bit more clouds, to be honest. But simple, just blue and white. And the trees. So it's quite common for the Cityscape to paint the trees as you paint the sky as well. So I'm debating if I want to do that. I think that will look nice. So the second step is actually, I would just go ahead and paint the trees. Also, and then wait for things to dry, then come back and paint the buildings, basically. Yeah, I think that's the game plan. This building, as we get to it, we'll need to avoid the umbrellas. Yeah, another thing we could do is actually just do the umbrella first. So, okay, the plan is to paint the sky all the way down and beyond the line of the building as well. Wet it so that these trees can be like soft, okay? And the trees can be soft. Maybe this bush can be done as well in the first wash, but the bottom of the bush will need to be sharp. So we're gonna stop there where this bush end. Yeah, and then while we wait for this area to dry, we can paint the umbrellas here and maybe some figures already. So once they're done, we're just gonna go back with a darker tone, like the mid-tone, to paint these shadows again, okay? Yeah, shadows mostly on these buildings and a little bit on the bench. Oh, you know what? I think I was intending to add some people sitting in the umbrella, so let's add a couple. Maybe this one is sitting sideways on the bench. Another one is maybe kind of conversing with him, like but sitting on a different, like a little beverage happening, a little leaning, conversing. Okay, cool. Right, okay. So in terms of the sky though, I think what might be good is I'll just do the full wet on wet for the sky, really. So this time, let's just wet the entire sky area, including the part above this building. We'll need to carve out that shape of the building, but we're going to go a little bit beyond the trees. So this entire area. You can go beyond the trees, just so that we have soft foliage of the trees. We may come back and spot wet if we go down and it's already dry. So let's see. I'm going to maybe first do our sky color. So we'll do, oh, that one is really green today. Ultramarine blue and manganese blue. I'm using that as a cerulean blue proxy. Be quite bright actually. If you think it's too bright, add a little burnt sienna. Yeah, this feels like a good sky blue color. So I'm actually starting here. I will want to get pretty close to this building. And maybe some notion of clouds start to creep in here. I like getting rid of my paint somewhere as I get closer to the horizon, so then the clouds will be smaller and more faint. Okay, so then if we have a bit of stronger color, the top may look good. You know, I'm just making this flat now because it's a bit distracting to have the different shape. Okay, so that's our cloud shape. Yeah, no touching. And we might want to add a little shadow then for the white clouds. So that'll be very faint. And that would be, you can use the same blue and just add a tinge of alizarin to make a more purple, just a tinge. And a bit more burnt sienna. So it's more like a purplish color here. Maybe I'll remove the reference for now. So this can be our shadow color for the clouds. Okay, and then get rid of moisture because you will probably be too much already. Okay, on your brush, just very faint at the belly of the clouds. Now, before things dry, I will want to tackle the trees. So I am going to get the yellow mixture going. So again, friends, I'm doing not what I usually teach in the online class because I always ask you guys to pre-mix your color and I'm not pre-mixing very well here. That is, I am more familiar with this process. Okay, so mix a bit of green using yellow ochre and vermilion. So we're going to then go to our tree here. We're going to obstruct everything basically. But we're really focusing on getting the movement of the maples, and it's this conical shape. By the way, you guys, we have just released the October class. You know, October class on Patreon is actually all about painting greenery. So I went into depth about different treatment and possibilities for capturing your beautiful trees in the landscape. And if you want, you can join Patreon to take a look and learn in depth. And there's also coaching available if you want to get more feedback directly for you. So the main goal I want is just the timing here is that I can have this very soft blending with the sky now. It's a little bit dangerous. This guy is trying to breach. So get my trusty toilet paper roll handy. The other day I saw this other artist I really like. He's called Amit Kapoor. He's a International Watercolor Society or something. It's a headquarter in India. He's I think one photo I saw he posted, it's just like him painting away with like a giant roll of toilet paper rolling down on this easel. I was like, wow, I really identify with this guy. Like, I can't live without the toilet paper on my plein air painting easel. Okay, all right. So here we get to this part, but it's going to be a little bit dried already. So we can, use that wet brush we use for the spot wetting and wet some of this area. So then actually we can continue on maybe and finish this yellow color, yellow, blue, green color here. As a texture elements to soften that edge of this building. So then the next thing you saw me busting out the synthetic brush is that let's just get the shadow painted for these trees already when they're wet. So they'll have really soft kind of textures in the landscape. So what I do is just add a generous amount of ultramarine blue to the mix. And if it's too blue, add a little yellow. Mostly it's not gonna be too blue. You know why? Because when you compound that onto the yellow, it's gonna turn more green actually. So let's check the sun direction. Okay, it's coming from the right. So we're going to, first I'm focusing on the shadow that's separating the front tree and the back tree. And the shadows in between layers. We're going to get awfully close to this building. And I am adding a bit of burnt umber just to make certain spots warmer. Okay. So now this tree at the front, I'll keep the shadow minimal because again, this tree is in the front. You want that to stand out. So we'll just use minimal amount of shadow shape on this tree. There seems to be a layer kind of in between this one, halfway point. So we're just going to add that. Okay, less is more. Maybe we already killed it. I don't know. Is it too much? Okay, cool. So very small area. Maybe though, here can use a little bit more, emphasizing towards the bottom. Okay. I will get a roof edge on the yellow. Roof edge on the yellow. So because of this is going to be a kind of like bright yellow, like a baby yellow. I'm not too worried about it. I think we can glaze on basically later on. Because in this exercise, like in this painting, we have the tree soft already. So we want the edge of the building to be sharp. where it blends with the green here, we still want it to be soft. We can come back and spot wet this area when we paint the yellow, so that it's not going to, you know, it can still maintain that soft edge. But I'm thinking you can just carve out the tree shape negatively using the yellow. I think it will look cool as well. Yeah. So I think we're happy with the trees, really. Okay. So then I think the next step is that we can actually talk about the accent color. Well, maybe we should bring down, well, let's see. Should we add a very gentle coat of color on all of the buildings and concrete surfaces? I think we should. And that's the lit surface. So this area is still wet. I'm not gonna paint the yellow building there, but I can paint this building and I can paint the umbrellas. So for that building, it's kind of brick color. So just pure burnt sienna will do already, I feel like. It does have a couple kind of like that sand color with the emboss area on the band. So maybe I need to get a very, 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 very faint version of that. Just to remind myself, like, not like gonna trample over it later on. There are also some sort of wide architecture elements at the top. Can't see, it appears to be the second roof, basically. Okay, so now let's go in with our, yeah, so I may want to avoid some stuff. So I'm switching over to this lovely flathead brush, because it's got, you can do straight lines very easily with this. So then what I would do is I'm just doing straight lines and keep it very textured and very dry, basically. Yeah, I can fizzle away here as well as I reach the top of the umbrella. You can blend a little bit with the yellow as well as you go down. No, maybe it's not. It's like run over the yellow. It's fine because the yellow is actually going to be more powerful than this guy. So I think that's it really, and maybe we want to add a couple darker areas on the building. I'm just using whatever that dark color we have in there. It just like kisses the surface a little bit, so it has a bit more, kind of lighter towards the side, so then, you know, kind of directs your attention more towards the right, but just, you know, still feels like it's a same, this color basically. That's a shadow part. I would not touch it until later. And now onto the umbrellas. They're going to be helping setting the tone of how bright the other building will be. So I'm thinking I'm going for cadmium yellow plus yellow ochre, so it's a fairly bright one. Let's see. Does that feel too bright or dark? Too dark? Maybe can be lighter. Yeah. So this is cream consistency. It may bleed with your building a little bit, but I think that's beautiful.
They haven't stood out yet because the windows, the darker part of the building, have not been added. Ooh, is this dry? Gotta be careful around here. Yeah, it's slightly damp, but I think it's solidifying. So it runs down a little bit, which is totally fine. So yeah, I like this yellow. I think we could use this yellow for that building. Yeah. Cool. So on the foreground, there may be some yellow and red benches, but to me, I'll probably do, that's a big question, isn't it? How far do we want to burn the yellow down? I think that's the question. I think maybe some picnic tables could be yellow. Some benches maybe, but then the rest I'll just do like a beige color basically. Yeah. So we can go back to our flathead brush and just brush on a couple brown bits onto the bench. So these figures on the bench here, I imagine them kind of in the shadow really, so not too worried about having to kind of get them to be lifted up or something. Can just clean it a little, the edge, so we got a bit more color. You know what? We can actually just continue working on to this textural surface for the rest of the scene at the pavement. So for the pavement, it's gonna be more cooler color than this historic museum building. So what we're gonna do is then we are adding a little bit of ultramarine blue. Very faint color. So I'm just running over the figure as well as the pavement here at the road. Sometimes it's helpful to not mix your ultramarine blue and burnt sienna too much, because then you have a little bit of varying hue. So yeah, I'm seeing two little deers and hanging out in the front porch area lawn, and they're like so energetic still this time of year, even though they're like losing their Bambi spots and like real fast. That cute face lasted very short, I would say. But they're still very cute, I think. Okay. Cool. So that's kind of how we're gonna have the, the road kind of depicted, and that's light tone, mostly sorted. And now we can worry about this building. It's yellow, right? Yeah. So let's say let's try applying this yellow onto this building and see if we like that. Yeah, I think it's all right. I would make it warmer, to be honest. So yeah, I'll just not worry about kind of, kind of like soft edges. I think it might require a bit of harder edge here anyway, and it's when it meets the green, it's really not like obvious. It's yellow, it's very faint color. So I'm not painting this part because it's the window part and it's darker. Here though, it's also yellow. So the shadow part of the yellow is much darker, but we are just kind of glazing it, all of it. So later when we add the shadow, it's gonna have the compounding effect of color. Maybe a slightly warmer yellow helps. And then the building next to it is red, so we're going to switch over to red pretty quickly using cadmium red and adding a little bit of burnt sienna to desaturate that. Maybe a little bit of burnt umber as well, because it's a really warm brownish red color. It's the building next to it. I accidentally painted over my totem. So like I'm leaving the totem out because I want the totem to have a bit more of kind of protruding out basically. But these cars, like you can just stop right there. And when I'm at it, some of the background, I will try to distinct it. Maybe add a little red. Try to work around this figure. So sometimes you do have to work around the figure. Yeah. So that is your building coated. I think basically, if you want, yeah, we can do the figures next and then wait for this area to dry and then connect the shadow back onto the figure. So there's some window there. I think to downplay this window, I'm going to go in now with some thick buttery consistency paint and just paint those windows in. Yeah, so it's going to bleed with the yellow, it's fine. But using this flathead brush is where I really like using this guy for the windows, because it just gives more structural feel. Even though it's bleeding, you can still tell it's done by a flathead that has a different shape. The round brush in this case would just be a little kind of harder to control or be not as sure fire basically once you're done with the window. Okay, so that's that. There's another one here. Do I want to do that one? That one looks like it's bright. So that one looks like a brightly, like a blind in it or something. So we're actually going for maybe a bit of blue color in here. Just a bit to separate that. Well, you know what? I have forgotten about that yellow in behind. That is yellow as well. Okay, unfortunately, I already get rid of the yellow preemptively. Do what I say, don't do what I do. Check for accent color before you wash. Okay. Cool. Yes, bright yellow. Love it. All right. Yeah, I think we can actually work out when maybe go back to this this one again and finish the figures. Christine sent it or sent a good joke on a toilet paper. Indeed. Okay, so then figures. So the way I like to approach figures is that I like to carve out their limb first, which will really give me the idea of how to finish their clothing. Yeah, I think. So first we're going to do the figures in the sun. So this one has a helmet, but they have their neck shown through. So I'll do, so you see the way I paint the limb is I just flick my brush. I don't try to fill the shape exactly as I have. So just do 1, 2 stroke, done. Okay. This one, everybody wearing shorts. Nice. So the ones in the shadow, I probably do it as part of the shadow process. So these ones are in the sun, so I'm doing that separately. Maybe helpful to do one of the car as a different color real quick. So here's some red, and this red can be a bit more spare and maybe closer to the buildings is fine. Okay. Yeah. I think that's good. Maybe some figure here can have a red clothes. It's just very spare to echo that red over there. So then let's talk about their clothes. I don't know if I want to follow, but the center one can just have like a white t-shirt. So for white, I use lavender for shadow. And the other one may have, let's give her a tropical pink red top. She was wearing something like that. Okay. And, ooh, I think I splotched water on this. Okay. Trying to add some pattern to her shirt. Okay, so then for bottoms, these guys can all have darker bottom. This guy will have the brown shorts, and the gal will have more like a jean. I'm just staying true kind of to the photo even. And this guy, I give it a bluish color. Nothing fancy. Okay. I do think this guy is probably wearing a helmet. So let's make it fairly light blue as well. And yeah. And there is a little basket of some sort on this this bike. Yeah, just one dash will do. Maybe, oh no, I think we're good. For the bike itself, I will actually do it as part of the shadow or finishing touches. Okay, so then next, evaluate. Let's talk about, this is getting dry, but not quite yet. Let's just finish this building, I think, by adding shadow to it. So the tricky part of this building, yeah. I'll do the probably spot wet and then add a bit of shadow onto it, so it's not completely like a sharp edged window, basically. Yeah, some questions. I'm not sure about the yellow building. Oh, vibrancy, yeah. It is very vibrant, and it can look like it's part of this tree as well. Yeah, I think that may be the worry, but I think it might look better once we added the roof color on the yellow. I'll separate that a little bit, the horizontal line. And possibly with the shadow here, it will look like it's holding its weight. Yeah, sometimes you just don't know how things turn out. Okay, so for this building, I'm going to pre-wet some of these areas, basically. There's no rhyme or reason for this part, really, but I'm trying to get the window to be not so rigid, basically. And yeah, for the window, which brush? Let me go back to using this quill. Okay. So first, some embossing details. Yeah, some embossing details. I'm gonna use the brownish yellow color for those. So suggestively, just add a little shadow part for the embossed area. Okay. Maybe here. The reason why I re-wetted this is just that, you know, even though it's super cool architecture, it's not the main focal point. I don't want this to take over the entire painting. So just suggestively adding some elements here and there. Okay, and now the shadow will probably be a dark green. The shadow is more like the cast shadow will be the main thing here. So again, using trustworthy ultramarine blue with a little bit of burnt umber added. All right, let's go in. I think one brush stroke here. This is all in shadow. All right. And we're going to maybe add, let's see. Yeah, maybe just have to go for it and do the windows also. Yeah, so the windows will, of course, bleed a little bit. It sounds scary, but it's okay because accuracy is not the concern here, but artistic value is. So some of these windows might want to be a bit more defined, just like the part that's above the umbrella. Sometimes use some varying colors in the shadow. Now I'm adding a little bit of indigo for this one, so it's cool colored. And for that, maybe suggesting there's some blind on this. So it's not entirely dark. Same with here. I think there is like a doorway here. I'm pretty familiar with this place. Yeah. Okay, so just like that. Although there is a bit of, I know there's a bit of like a blue kind of textures, green window trim on these buildings. I don't know if I should add them. It might be too much to add, to be honest. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just adding some finer details using this brush with the blue color. Just have to be bold sometimes with like the shadow that's casted by these architectural elements. Yes, I did run over that. You know, sometimes you just have to go for it and have maybe the effect fizzle away behind. Just a hinting, you know, of a bit of shadow. And there is a banner of the Jefferson Museum on the building. I'm going to add that. Okay, so I think our museum is mostly sorted. I know, like, you guys may say that it doesn't look like the I'm not doing justice to all of the architectural details, but I've learned so many times that if you actually do look after it, like you carve out every single detail, it will look worse somehow. Yeah. I do like some of the brick details, so maybe we'll do a little bit of a brick texture to suggest that these are the brick building. So when you add these details, sometimes you'll be too prominent, too quick. So you have to get rid of some of the pigment on your brush as you go, because you don't want it to take over the light tone. The light tone should still be the light tone. Okay. So I think this area is mostly dry now. I can go back and tackle that. Yeah, do you like the umbrella? Nice. Yeah, I think the umbrella works because of these dark windows. If the windows were not dark, if the building is bright, I don't think it will work. Okay, cool. All right, so let's worry about this entire shadow here. I will get the synthetic brush and then this big guy, maybe overkill. We don't know, we'll see. I really do like the fine tip of this quill. It's the Da Vinci one. So again, let's get a pretty big puddle of that shadow blue going. The thing about this Da Vinci is it does like get diluted really quickly because of the brush just has so much moisture on it. So especially you try to kind of mix it entirely, like from tip to bottom on this brush, it's going to look really, like when you paint, you'll be surprised by how faint it's got. But that's why I kind of am using this, because I don't want any of the like the building shadow to be so prominent into the distance. Okay, so the darkest part of the entire thing is actually going to be this red building over here. So what we're doing here with there will be a bit of window too that we need to maybe carve out. And a really good contrasting color with this ultramarine blue is my other very favorite color, the lavender. This is mainly because it kind of connects really nicely with the ultramarine blue without having that, but you basically get a much thinner ultramarine blue instantaneously because in the shadows there are essentially elements of light object and dark object. So I'm just adding a little bit of that totem pole. So, and we're going to extend this shadow this way. Because of the direction of the building, they are going to extend quite a bit of shadow to the left. Okay, before we get carried away, let's do this yellow building. So the yellow building on top, it will be dark ultramarine blue, but you know, it has a tendency to turn green. So that's why I like switching over to the lavender, so that it has a little bit of suggestion of reflective light towards the bottom, and it's got a nice gradation as a result. So maybe here can just switch over to this brush entirely because of cars a pretty fine detail. This totem would have casted a pretty big shadow here. So yeah, I think that makes sense. So the shadows are all connected. That is to help, you know, not having to spell out individual objects, and that usually lead to a more awkward, you know, more awkward results. So where's my wet brush? Doing a little shadow near the bushes. However, I can continue tapping into the same blue color. Maybe some cast a shadow from the trees, it's just very suggested. This area though is the window of the building behind. There's some sort of we just get that darker. Okay, and there will be some windows on this building, but we're not carving that out. Yeah, I'll treat that more like a black color actually later. And just checking on other colors. So this building on the yellow now actually does have some brown roof. So we're going to do just a strip of brown roof. Maybe I'll blend in a bit more yellow, like a light brown, because when you have these very bright sunlit part, I don't want it to take away the brightly lit nature of it. So where it meets the tree, it can really just be there is a bit of shadow here. Maybe I think the shadow is a bit too big. Because of the roof though, you will have some shadows. So maybe this add a little dimension to the yellow building, I hope. Yeah. And now look at this, actually starts to connect with the figures. So then we can, what we can do is we continue on with the shadow on the figures. The shadows will be a bit more minimal because the figure largely should still be a positive object in the scene that stand out. So the bike though will kind of create this type of horizontal shadows across. We'll have this trash can. We'll worry about that later. Well, maybe I'll just do it. It's a dark blue color, is that right? Dark green color. Yeah. So get a little shadow going for it. And this lamp will probably also cast some shadows in the foreground. So we are not worried about exacto shape and all. We're just trying to get the suggestive language in. So bike, maybe I'll use more of a brownish blue color. For the wheels, there's no reason to draw like a full wheel either, so it can just be very suggestive. Okay, now we have these people in the foreground. Let's wet it. Again, in the corner, I like to wet it mainly because then our shadow is not so prominent. So this one did arrive here already, so we can paint now from this side up. So a lot of these benches will be in the shadow because we want to suggest, right, the umbrella is giving the shadow to this area. It's going to bleed for you a little bit. Seems scary, but you know, once it dried, it will be fine. It's to suggest there are like some dappled shade on your subject. This guy may even have some dappled shade on him, or her, don't care. So then we will have maybe one of the figure having a red outfit. Red sienna. Yeah, good call, good call. I'm glad I caught your comment, Pamela, in time. That is great suggestion. So yeah, I'll have just like, you know, a little under the umbrella just to suggest that these are three-dimensional object after all. Yeah, so I think this guy will probably be entirely in shadow. So we're going to give them a pretty dark. And this guy maybe in half shadow. Do we want to give them a red shirt? Maybe. Yeah, it's going to bleed with the bottom coat. So we may have to come back and do this again, give them some fidelity again. Cool. Okay, I think that works, really. Cool. All right. I think we're like getting really close to finish this one up. So there will be some finishing details added to the windows and the cars, I think. There is a bit of marina here in the background. That's why I'm using some vertical lines to suggest that. Okay, this lamp, we need to think about this lamp real quick. So it's part of the blue-green color we had. So you know what I may do is try to maybe lift some color on that lamp first. Okay, so then we can do one straight line for this lamppost. So yeah, there's really no way to do this differently other than just go for it. There's a bit of like a ball shape at the top, I think. So we can have a very small, very faint suggested shadow there. Yeah, so maybe we want to add a little bit more of that green blue color to the sky. There will be some totem accent color, totem mostly turquoise and red and black. So we may want to add just a little color. I think the hard part of this scene is that it actually does have a lot of color in it. It's a vibrant downtown scene. Beautiful job with the city planning. But it's like so many colors that we have to edit a lot. So this totem was very colorful. So we're just trying to see if some colors are just really not maybe necessary. See, like already made it too dark here. It's very dangerous. Yeah. I did not intend to make it so dark. So we need the totem to still see through with distinct light and dark surface. Okay. So then maybe some of the car windows using this blue-green color as well, since we have it. Mostly on the reflective side. Yes. So you know this guy is sitting behind this bench, so then yeah, I give him some legs as well. That's this guy's leg. So we're going to maybe do some structural here. It looks a bit more layered shadow. Yeah. Some cars may have darker window. We'll add that in. Well, maybe not. I'm like a little hesitant to add all that in because we may ruin a beautiful, fresh looking area. So I'm not sure. Just a few emphasizing area here. Some more darker windows so they stand out. So the building here had some okay, just very brief because really don't want to mess with it too much. And I think we are done with this painting. Or as much as I would like, I think like I can fiddle with it, but we are kind of approaching. Are we approaching 2 hours? Not quite. That's good news. That is good news. Not great. Well, it's fine. Okay, umbrella poles. That'll be the last thing. Okay, see you guys. Like I'm continuing to fiddle with it, which is not great. This is not advised upon. Okay, but the temptation is real. Okay. Yeah, I think we're mostly done here. Cool. And I may wrap up some other stuff after the call, but I think we're wrapped with the scene. Again, Cityscape, I hear you, Rita. This, oh, you did yours. Like, awesome. I would love to see. You see, this is, it will be helpful to, later on when we do the Zoom call for like our smaller group coaching, we'll be able to see each other's work more easily. You can share on camera, but yeah, would like to see if you post it to our group chat. That'd be great. And yeah, thank you everybody. So yeah, let me go on and fiddle with it, but this is a wrap for the Cityscape painting. Yeah, the main key here is with Cityscape is just really blocking the bigger compositional elements, and then set your focal point and really stick to it. So yeah, don't deviate. If you intend for this building to fade away in the corner, then you do need to make sure of that. If you do want the shadows to be more abstract, you make sure of that. usually like, you know, this hard edge where the hard edge meets the soft edge, you know, it's probably something you want to leverage in a watercolor medium, just so that you have a really lovely combination of both. And again, another learning is that if we want to edit, usually it's the infrastructures like the, you know, the posts, garbage bins, like, and even like pedestrians and bikers, like all of this we need to place once, you know, we have the overall, the bone in a place, and place these smaller elements and maybe reduce the quantity like off the bat by half. And then place them strategically to aid to your overall composition. So yeah, that is really the key of the Cityscape. It's not, well, it is more advanced because you have to pay attention and you need to have a strong point of view as to what your painting vision is. But once you have that strong point of view, like the rest is actually easy. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, that's today's painting. I will, so this is a public stream, so then we'll be able to rewatch this also after the event. So if folks are interested in looking over some more of the process later on, you will have the recording. And I will be posting this finished painting on the Patreon community. So you guys, if you want to give this a shot yourself, you will have something to refer to. All right, so just seeing if there's any comments. Maybe I missed some. Yeah. Cool. Marquino, actually, I missed yours. Well, I'm sorry that I don't speak your language, but I am hoping there will be translation in the recorded live version, because Google released the auto dubbing as a feature for YouTube, and I have that feature turned on my channel. So maybe finger crossed. I think they initially only releasing like 14 languages or something, but I think going forward it will be easier and easier to be able to enjoy any YouTube video just in your own language, dubbed over, right? Yeah, definitely that's one of the better innovation, I think, with the AI and everything, is interpretation will get much more accessible as well. So yeah, and everyone who has joined, I really appreciate you. What size and type of paper? I can see, continue to see some new questions. I'm sorry for not getting to them right away. So this is my Baohong watercolor paper, which is my go-to these days, other than the Fabriano one. So Fabriano and Baohong are my go-to right now. I have some arches that in my stash, so I'm just trying to use that up, but I'm actually not getting more arches. So yeah, Baohong is this one. This one is, it's a medium grain basically. This size is 14 by 10. You see the size difference here? How do I see size difference? 14 by 10, this is 9 by 12, slightly smaller. But 14 by 10, these days I have a lot of picture frame this size. So that's why that's my go-to right now for showpieces. So yeah, so this will be added to my Port Townsend collection, where this city is called. And yeah, maybe I'll try to show this work and this whole collection in the Port Townsend area sometime next year. So yeah, just enjoying really kind of this subject matter, and thought it would be a good example to show you guys as well. Yeah. Thank you, Deborah. Oh, you're always so kind. Yeah. Nice. Exactly. Like drawing is always something you can tag along and do on this cause. Because, you know, it's, well, I'm still a believer of kind of learning to draw yourself. You just be able to see things that you would otherwise miss, I think. if you're not consciously trying to translate the shape yourself. But of course, like I understand that it really takes years and years to master drawing. So if you feel like you just want to enjoy the painting process, by all means, you can trace the drawing or get a photo, like turn into black and white, as we have learned, to see the shapes better. So yeah, that's a trick we learned in our 5-step process course, which I'm also really excited to celebrate with you guys. We'll do a live stream next week to celebrate everyone who has finished my 5-step course, 5-step process, and have took your artwork from the most sketchy black and white version to a full bloom beautiful painting. So I am really proud of you guys who have gone through that process and who has really stuck to it, and it came out a better artist or someone with a better eye, really. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much. So yeah, here's the goal to do more of these paint and chat. Yeah, I will always try my best for getting more fan benefits, and appreciate you guys by doing more of this live streams for sure. So thank you all so much for watching. I am going to close the stream now, but the video will be available to watch right after. So I hope you all are having a lovely day. Hi Linda from Japan. Hi from Seattle. All right, guys, I'm tapping out now. Okay, see you all then in our next event or YouTube video. Right, bye.